I feel like I finally had a good book month and it's taken forever to get here. Today we're gonna go over all of the books that I read for the month of April. Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Mandy and I am a reader. I love books. I have since I was a little girl, and this is my book review videos where I go over all of the books that I read the previous month. So today is May 1st. So today I'm going to go over the books I read in April. And I actually read quite a few books, which is good because over the next couple of months, I'm going to be traveling a lot, so I'm not going to be able to get in as much reading time. So I'm glad I got in these books while I had a couple free, weeks where I could. So before I jump into the reviews, I want to show you my new dress because it has books all over it. Check this out. So this is one of the newer dresses from supercutedresses.com, and it has everything that I love on it. It's an embroidery pattern. It has tea and it has a stack of books. Like, is this not the most me dress ever? So it makes me happy. You might have noticed that I am like obsessed with supercutedresses.com, and I can't help myself. I don't know, I have a problem. So I have been buying dress after dress after dress from that website. So you probably see a lot of, if you know what super cute dresses are, then you probably recognize a lot of the stuff that I'm wearing. Anyway, I thought this would be the perfect dress to do my book reviews in. So let's get started. First book I'm gonna go over, I got from Bethany House. So this is my first review book from Bethany House, and I have Julie Klassen's Lady Maybe, and this is a really interesting story. So this is a revised book of hers that came out 10 years ago. This was her first book, and this is the 10th anniversary edition. So they updated the cover, which I saw the old cover, and this cover is so much better. They did a great job redesigning the cover. And if you know anything about Julie Klassen as an author or her books, if you're familiar with her books, this is very, very Julie Klassen. So I love her Sisters of Seaview book series. If you've been around for a while, you've seen these books. I wait for these books to come out, and I am not one of those people that buys a series book until the whole thing is finished. I'm the same way with the K-dramas and stuff that I watch. I wait until all the episodes load before I will go in and do it because I am so impatient for the next one, and I don't want to get into it until all of them are loaded. I'm the same way with books. So I typically don't start a series book while it's in production because I'm impatient, and I know I'm impatient. So I started reading Sisters of Seaview, and now I am very impatiently waiting for the next one. But it was so worth it because, and just like I've said about Sisters of Seaview, Julie Klassen books are like a warm cup of tea on a very cold, blustery day where all you want to do is sit underneath a blanket in a cozy spot with your book. That is a Julie Klassen book. So I'll read you the back real quick on this book because I think it just does a much better job of explaining what I can't here. So in the midst of a fierce storm, a carriage carrying Sir John Mayfield, Lady Mariana Mayfield, and her lady's companion careen off a narrow cliff road, changing their fates forever. So that's really how chapter 1 and 2 kind of start out, where there is this carriage wreck, and then all of a sudden one of the ladies wakes up and they have to figure out their identity. So it's kind of like a mystery, but in the first couple of chapters, everything kind of starts fleshing out a little bit. And then it's the fallout from the decisions after. So this is a really interesting book. I think that this was a great one for Julie Klassen's first book. I can't believe that she wrote this as her first novel. This is amazing. So highly recommend this book, 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, the one so many of you have been waiting to hear my review on is No Time to Be Dumb, Letters to Teenage Girls by Rachel Jankovich. Obviously, I am not a teenage girl. Obviously, I have no teenage girls, I have teenage boys. However, this was one of the best books written for girls or women that I have read yet. This book has a lot of up and down type of reviews. I think that the negative reviews misunderstood and misinterpreted what Rachel was saying. This one is a fantastic book. And even as a 40-year-old woman, I will tell you this. I wish I would have had this book as a teenager in the 90s, especially when like youth groups really started to take off. This book was so needed. This was a very needed book in that time. And I grew up in that. I'm an 80s kid, so I was in the 90s youth groups. This is such an important book for girls. So this kind of reminds me of almost like, I just read the female version of the Screw Tape Letters from Canon, and this has like a very similar type of vibe to it, which is great. So this book is written as a series of letters from Rachel, the author, to her nieces. And these probably are not real girls, of course. It's just the setup for the book. And each chapter is kind of like a new letter, and it addresses a new topic. Everything from modesty to friendships to hobbies and domestic arts and things like that. And I love that she even put in some of her personal recipes. I love that. And I totally bookmarked them because I want to try her cookie recipe like so badly. So there are so many pieces and nuggets of wisdom in these books for women, not just teenage girls, but like women in general, about friendships, about obedience, and about holiness. And I really want to say that that's really what this book is about. It's about holiness. And in no way, shape, or form is she saying that if you do some of these things, you're not a Christian, or being a Christian means you have to do all of these to the letter. No, like that would be a form of legalism, or if you have to do these things or you're not saved. Again, legalism. That is not what this book is addressing. This book is saying, hey, this is a really good idea if you stay away from this, or if you do this, that would be a good idea. And then there's scripture to back it up. And really it's about sanctification. And I want to say that this book really addresses sanctification as a whole, because this is about, you know, you're transitioning your young girls into young women. And this book is just like, it's such wisdom. I wish I would have had it. I'm glad I have it now, because I will say, just even as a 40-year-old, there were so many pieces of wisdom that I took out of this myself and learned from myself. Loved it. I love all of Rachel's books. I love all of her mother's books, Nancy Wilson. I'm a huge Nancy Wilson fan, which I actually have one of her books in my stack over here that we're going to talk about in a little bit. But yeah, really great one. If you are worried about some of the negative reviews, I would say get this book for yourself and read it yourself, or read it with your daughters. You know, that way you can go over those things before, you know, if there's something that you're worried about, read it yourself first and then read it with your daughters. But absolutely love this book. 5 stars. Fantastic. Okay, the next one is a Kindle book because I was way too impatient for it to arrive. And it is Tempest at Annabelle's Lighthouse by Jamie Jo Wright. You guys know Jamie Jo Wright is one of my very favorite authors. She writes Christian, like, I want to say like historical, but at the same time modern stories, but they are Christian suspense. They are historical. It's really cool, like the way that her setups are. All of her books have this really neat setup to where it is something that happened in the past, and then you have a voice in the future as well, and you kind of go back and forth between 2 different main characters and players and 2 different storylines, but somehow they always merge and they're talking about the same storyline just in different time periods. So you usually have a historical aspect, but you have a modern aspect as well. And some of them revolve around things that actually happened, or like real historical places and things like that. Really, really, really cool setups on Jamie Jo Wright's book. So she does write spooky stories. Okay, so these are always great for the fall. However, I love them all year round, but even if something looks like it's going to be a ghost or something like that, it's always something realistic. So I always have to say that up front, because I have a lot of people who might get upset if I'm reading like scary stories or what somebody would put in the genre of like horror. It's not. It's definitely not. These are Christian books, and she always has like a realistic explanation for everything that happens. So this one is kind of more in like that ghost story realm. And this one centers around a lighthouse up north, which is really neat because I'm actually from up north, even though I live in North Carolina now. I am from up north where we had a lot of lighthouses. So this really brought back a lot of those memories from my childhood. I used to visit lighthouses all the time with my family. We used to go to Michigan all the time. And I remember going to these lighthouses. So like this really brought up a lot of fun family trips for me in my memories. So this is one of my very favorite Jamie Jo Wright books so far. I really, really liked Tempest to Annabelle's Lighthouse. So this revolves around the ghost of Annabelle and about this lighthouse, and about like there's like these shipwrecks and all kinds of things. And then you have the aspect of a woman now who is in kind of like a broken marriage, and she wants to heal everything, and she goes to this lighthouse to write a new book, and all of the events that come out after. And this one was just fantastic. Great job, Jamie. Love it. That was one of the best. I absolutely love that book. So the next book that I read was a secular book. This is my only secular book, I think, of the month, and it was Salt to the Sea. So my middle grader actually read this first, which I'm surprised that he picked this up because he doesn't like historical type of books, but this is a World War II historical fiction book. And that's actually why I picked it up. I did not realize that this was like a young adult type of book. It's a young adult type of book, and actually, he enjoyed it more than I thought he would. So you have several different voices in this book. I believe that there's 4. Yes, there's 4. There's 4 different voices in this book. The chapters are very short. They're only like a couple pages long, and they flip back and forth between each person, and at the top, each person's name is up here. Now, because it's a World War II type of book, you're gonna have violence. And it does get quite violent at times. I don't feel that it's over the top for the subject or the grade level, because we are talking young adult, so we're talking at least 12. I would say closer to the other end of the YA. I would say closer to 17, 18 probably. But it was not too much for my 14-year-old. He's almost 15, but this was not too much for him. So, you know, there's a couple of content warnings here, but I don't feel like it's anything that might not happen. But it centers around the sinking of a ship that is not very well known, and it's one of the, if not the worst, like shipwreck ever, like as far as number of deaths. We all know about Titanic, but not many people know about this shipwreck. So this is about the Willem Gustloff shipwreck, and I'm probably saying that wrong, I apologize, but many people were lost in this, much more than the Titanic, because it was packed full of refugees. And it's about these 4 refugees getting on this ship and about the sinking of it. So of course there's going to be death, there's going to be violence. They have run-ins with the Nazis many times here. So it is a very interesting book, hard topics, but if you're studying World War II history and you have older kids, this is a really great type of book. Again, it's historical fiction, so you know, the characters and things like that are not going to be real people, but still a pretty good book. Okay, so the next book I read was from Rachel Jankovich's mom, Nancy Wilson, and it is called Virtuous. And I listened to this via the Canon Plus app, so I didn't have to pay for it, which is great because I have a subscription to their app, and they have tons of books on their app, and this was one of them. This was a shorter book that I read kind of like in bursts while I was cooking or getting ready for my day, that type of thing. I really enjoyed this book. I really did. Virtuous is kind of like in the same realm as No Time to Be Dumb. It's wisdom and sage advice for women of every age. And, you know, again, dealing with the same topics as modesty and holiness and just a lot of different things. So many different aspects of womanhood. I think that it would be a great book for teen girls and young women. Very great book. You know, with graduations coming up, that would be a great book for female graduates. Just an idea. The last book that I read was Counted with the Stars, the Out of Egypt series, book 1. Just finished that one like day before yesterday. So I'm including it with this roundup. And it is a historical fiction book about the Exodus. And I have never read a book from the opposite side. So this is actually about a Egyptian slave girl and how she ended up mixed up with the Hebrews and crossing the Red Sea with them and integrating in their society. So I really liked this book. So this is not my first time with this author. I read one of her other books, but I really loved that it was a standalone, but at the same time, it was like part of a series, which I thought was cool, but the next book in the series was not about her, and I was really sad about that. This is from Connie Lynn Cossette, and the first book I read from her was really good, so I decided to get this one because it was on Kindle Unlimited, and I have an unlimited subscription, so I grabbed that one. Really good. Like I needed a good story after I had finished another book, and that one just hit the spot. It was a great book. Loved it. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. Really good one. However, I would say might be a little bit heavy for teens. I'm not sure, because a lot of moms ask me, like, would this be good for teens? I'm not sure. There are some mature themes in there. The main character is like an elder teenage girl. I want to say like 18, 19. However, there are some mature themes in there, and there is a scene where she is in a cave with a man overnight. Now, nothing happens, but they're not married. So I do want to kind of give like a content warning there. I have read another book like that, a fiction book from a Christian author too. Again, like nothing happens, but like it is in there, and I thought it was a little odd. But overall, it was a pretty good story. So there's my list and my book stack for April. Coming up in May, I am getting the new Timeless book from the author herself. I'm on the launch team with Gabriel Meyer, so you will see the newest Timeless book coming up very soon. It should be coming over the next 2 weeks. It's supposed to ship out sometime, I think, next week, and then I'll be getting it, you know, a couple days after that. But I'm so excited. This one is about Jack the Ripper, so super exciting. So many of you love the Timeless series after I showed you guys it. It's good, isn't it? Like, did I lie to you? I did not lie to you. That one is a really great series. Again, with the Timeless series, start at book 1. It will not make sense if you start, like, if you jump in the middle. Like, it's not going to make as much sense. Like, you can do it that way. I highly recommend that you don't. Plus, book number 2 is amazing. Books number 1 and 2 are probably the best in the series. Don't skip those books. Just trust me, do not skip those books. Read books 1 and 2. So I'm getting that one in the mail. I don't know if I'll have time to read anything else though, because my eldest child is graduating and we're going to be doing trips, and I have a wedding coming up and all kinds of things. So I don't know. My book stack for next month might be a little bit skimpy, so we'll see, but still super exciting, right? So I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and happy homeschooling.